Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Mr. Mitchell with your video lesson for Friday, April 30th, 2021. Let's get started right away. If you look at your agenda, you'll see that you've got Do Now, like yesterday, where you're going to work with poetry and you're going to just go through that TEI. Then you are going to work in student view. I'm going to guide you through. So in the video lesson, it'll be just like in class. I'll give you the think aloud, and then you're going to make your selections based on based on rationalizing each question. And then finally, there's a Kahoot. And if you are a virtual student, if you are an asynchronous student today, meaning you're not joining us in the classroom, you're in Core 2, you are going to be able to participate in it and still compete. So I have an offline challenge. All right, let's get started. Here's your learning target. Of course, you're probably already on this screen watching this video now. By the end of class, I will analyze a fictional text using my somebody wanted but so organizer, and a nonfiction text using the what so what strategy in order to determine the organizational pattern, origin of unfamiliar words, making inferences, determining causes and their effects, and summarizing the main idea. I'll know I've been successful when you've created your own organizers and then used your organizers to score at least the 75% on your benchmark today. All right, let's get started. Click next on your screen. All right, just like yesterday, you are going to open your document. It is a Google Slides. You're going to use the line tool to underline your answers for multiple choice, and then you'll use the line tool like an arrow to show where you would drag or drop any TEIs that you have. Go ahead and click on that, and then let's get started. Here you go. Today, it is a poem. All right, so first things first, you're going to read your poem. And on the second tab, our second slide, you're going to create your SALT. All right, let's create that together right now. All right, what's the SALT strategy? S is the subject, remember? What's the subject of this poem? A, ask questions. What questions can you ask about this poem? Think of things like the whats, the whys. How did that happen? When is this happening? Who, as in like who is speaking? Okay. Next, the L. This is going to be our language. What kind of language? What kind of figurative language? List your similes, list your metaphors, list your hyperbole. Remember, those are exaggerations. Find examples of any personification, and then type the meaning. And then T, the theme. What is the theme, the moral of the story, or what are we supposed to learn? Okay. Now that you have that all typed in, you're going to go in and read your poem. Complete this strategy because you're going to submit this, and I'm going to be looking for your strategy. All right, pause the video, and when you come back, we'll go through the questions and you'll underline them. All right, slide 4, question number 1. The author uses the word flying in the title to best the author's use of the word flying, there you go, Mr. Mitchell. The author's use of the word flying in the title best shows that the speaker A, likes the floating appearance of the snow, B, moves down the hill at a quick pace, C, has an interest in winged creatures, D, is thrown from the sled into the air. Now, the way that I'm going to answer this question is I'm going to, of course, I know it's called flying on snow. Think about what that means. Now I'm going to think about what I read in this passage, in this poem. How does the main idea, the subject, the S in our SALT, and the theme, the T in SALT, help us understand the title. Basically, it's asking us, what does this title mean? All right, in order to mark your answer, you're going to come up here to the top. You're going to click on the line tool. And let's say we want to choose A as our answer. You can then draw a line underneath A, and that'll be good. That'll indicate it for me. I'll know which one you're talking about. All right, if that was your answer. Once you've answered, move on to question 2, slide 5. Which 2 words are the best synonyms for lumber in line 18? I'm going to go down to line 18 here on my text. A graceful flying creature, I lumber across the snow. Like a tired bear, walking is a chore. With each step I sink into the snow, up to my knees. All right. Read each of your answer choices. Bound, stumble, glide, trudge, leap. Think about, like we've read lines 18 through 21. Think about the tone. Is it a happy tone? Is it kind of a more melancholy tone? Is it an up tone? Is it a down tone? Then evaluate the connotation of each of these words. To bound, to stumble, to glide, to trudge, to leap. Evaluate each of these, and for these, you'll do the same thing with your line tool. You'll select it, and let's say that I wanted to select bound. I would just put a little line underneath it, and that indicates. Now, one other thing to note, I have to choose 2 words. You will not get it correct if you only choose 1. If you choose 3, again, it will not be correct. Go back into the text, determine the tone. Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it up? Is it down? Then choose words that have the same or similar tone, or create a same or similar mood. All right, mark your 2 answers, and then let's move on to slide 6. Which line best suggests that the speaker has been down the hill in the past? Read your answer choices, and then mark your answer. You can pause this video while you do that. Go back to the text. You'll have to find these in the text. All right, let's go on to slide 7, our last question. What will the speaker most likely do next? Okay, this one should be pretty easy. If you've read this entire poem, you've done your SALT strategy. You know what it's about. You did your questions like, what is occurring? Who is the narrator? What will, what happened? Then you can answer what will happen next. Look for evidence in the text. I'm telling you right now, there is evidence right here that suggests exactly what the speaker will do next. All right, after you've marked your answer, you're going to go back into Canvas and click Submit. The next thing we're going to do is look at our benchmark. So on your screen, click Next after submitting your Do Now. You're going to go to Student View, log in, and open your benchmark. And then the next thing is I want you to open this onlinenotebook.net. That's our, that's this right here, the thing that we were using in the yesterday. All right, this is the place where you're going to take your notes. And in fact, our notes are saved from yesterday right here on mine. So we're going to refer back to those. If you need to, you can certainly look at mine, pull out yours if yours were saved. All right, pause this video while you get everything open, and we're going to start in on question number 7. So just to recap, so pause your video, and then you can catch back up right with where we are. All right. Now that you've come back and you have your document, your test open, you have your notes page open and ready to go. let's review what this story was about. First of all, it was a fiction text. All right, let's not forget that it was a fiction text. Here it is. We've already put that in. It's a story about Nancy, not about Lottie. Nancy wanted to figure out who Lottie was / what happened to her. Nancy didn't have any evidence to go on to find out who Lottie was. She just had the hat and the name. So Nancy imagines who Lottie is. She builds this whole backstory about her being an actress. I think they called her the, Gaiety Girls, something like working at the theater. So Nancy uses her imagination, builds out this entire story about this person falling in love with Lottie, who's falling in love with this man who is, rich and wealthy, and they're not allowed to be together because her, she doesn't come from a wealthy family and he does, but he's still in love with her. Then Nancy finds a note. Remember, looking here at the bottom of our text, Nancy finds a note. And it says, tomorrow I sail on the Titanic. Oh, her boyfriend is going on the Titanic. And we all know what happens in 1912. The Titanic sinks and 1,500 people perish in the sea. And we can only assume, so we're going to make a prediction, what happened to Lottie's boyfriend. He died on the Titanic. And now Lottie never gets to marry the love of her life. And it's a sad and tragic story. Okay, that's our recap. Question number 7. According to the passage, the author uses the simile like a hand clasp with the past to show. All right, let's go up and we're going to find that here in the text. Like a hand clasp with the past. And we have that here in paragraph number 6. So on your screen, scroll to paragraph 6. And let's read that paragraph. You always read the information before and after. Some students say, how much do I have to read before? Well, it's usually the next idea. Many of the Gaiety girls married lords. Nancy held, this is her imagination, remember? Nancy held the hat out and gazed at it like a hand clasp with the past. She sensed a great sadness when she touched the yellow silk. In fact, now that I've read that, I actually have a sense of what this word hand clasp means. Okay, think about what Nancy is doing. The text says Nancy held the hat out and gazed at it. Imagine now what's going on. She gazed at it. She's holding it. She gazed at it like a hand clasp with the past. Take out the word clasp, and she gazed at it like a hand with the past. She's holding a hand with the past. You see what I did? Now, the clasp, if you knew what that word means, to clasp something means to do this with it, to hold on to it. Okay? We had that in the text. They told us right here. Nancy held the hat. Now, let's look at our answer choices. According to the author, they use the simile, according to the passage, the author uses the simile like a hand clasp to the past to show that Nancy, A, feels a strong connection with the person who wore the hat, B, knows the silk in older clothing is considerably valuable, C, tries to be careful since the hat is fragile with age, B, appears to be amazed by the feel of yellow silk. Choose your answer. Remember, she's holding the hat, and it's like she's holding a hand from the past. All right, let's move on. Question number 8. Which of these statements best expresses the main theme of the story? All right, let's go back and look at our somebody wanted but so then. Nancy wanted to figure out who this Lottie was. Nancy didn't have any evidence, so she imagines that Lottie has this big romantic, story. But then she finds the note and realizes that what she imagined is mostly true, but that the boyfriend is dead. and that she never got to marry into the wealthy family. Which best expresses that main theme? Think about what we're learning from this. A, what is stylish in one era seems strange in another. B, some part of the past always remains in the present. C, many people hope for fame, but only few achieve it. D, few people appreciate the work done behind the scenes. To best answer this question, think about what the hat kind of represents, or who the hat represents, and the note, and maybe what Nancy learns about from finding the note and the hat. Those are some good clues and should help you eliminate what is the main theme of the story. All right, let's go on to number 9. When you're ready, you can pause the video. Number 9. What is the main organizational pattern for this passage? There's not much here. You just need to go back. Oh, sorry, we're on to the next passage. Yeah, that's right. All right, let's take a look now at this second passage. So we don't need to have this anymore. I want you to skim and scan and figure out, is this a fiction or nonfiction passage? Yep, nonfiction. You were able to skim and scan. How do I know it's nonfiction? Well, look at it. It's called calendar. How many days are there in a year? How many? Most people would quickly answer that the year has 12 months or 365 days. If you asked these questions a couple of hundred years ago, however, you would have received all kinds of different answers. Do you see what it's doing? It's setting us, that's their introduction, it's setting us up to teach us about the past and the way that people measured the year. Okay, so when we do a nonfiction, which strategy will we be using? What and so what? Let's review. What? 1 or 2 words. Do not write a sentence. Let me repeat that. For the what, do not write a sentence. For the so what, you want to write 1 sentence about what's the author trying to teach us? All right, keep that in mind. Read this passage, pause the video, read the entire passage. I know I just said that with a little emphasis. I'm not joking. You cannot answer these questions correctly, just like in the SOL. You cannot answer the questions correctly if you have not read the passage. You have to know what the whole thing is about. Do you have to memorize every detail? Absolutely not. But do you have to know what they tell you in the beginning, what they tell you in the middle, what they tell you at the end? Yes, you do. So the what so what strategy is going to get us to a place where we're ready to write a summary. All right, pause this video and then come back once you have read it. And I'm going to work on my what so what while you're working on yours. And then when you come back, we're going to compare, but I want you to have something written down. You need to have something written down on your scratch paper. All right, I'm all ready to start my what so what. So what is the topic? It's pretty straightforward. It tells you in the title. It's about a calendar. Maybe even say like calendar changes, evolution, development over time. Remember 2 words. So maybe calendar changes. I really want to write throughout history, but I'm going to keep my topic just to, it's about calendar changes. So what do they want us to know? Let's make it into a sentence. You think, well, they talked about the Julian calendar at the end, and then how that turned into the Gregorian calendar, and then we talked about the Roman calendar. We also talked about, the earliest 12 moon cycle calendar that was too short. Okay, so lots of different things that are happening, right? Lots of different calendars, and they're getting closer and closer to what we have today. So what does the author want us to know? The modern calendar has changed frequently over the last, look here, 1582, that's when the Gregorian calendar came out. See if they give us any type of beginning year. Oh, here's one. It talks about like the 46 BC. So that was like 2,000 years ago, maybe more than 2,000. So like over the last 2,000 years. That's pretty accurate, I think. The modern calendar has changed frequently over the last 2,000 years to become more accurate. All right, that's the so what. So what do they want us to know? They want us to know that the modern calendar has changed a lot over the last 2,000 years and it's become more accurate. All right, now let's go into our question. What's the main organizational pattern? Folks, we've already given that answer away. Looking at paragraph 2 and 3, it talks about the earliest system. Then it talks about a little while later, in the year 46 BC. Okay, then it talks about how the Julian calendar came along a little bit later. Then finally, it talks about the Gregorian calendar in 1582. Use that knowledge, what we just said. The key words are going to be dates. The key words are our dates. Words like then and later. All right, mark your answer. By the way, it is not problem solution if that's what you just picked. It doesn't say there was a problem with the calendar, it was too short and everyone knew it and didn't know how to fix it. That's not it at all. The solution was to become more accurate in the measurement. But it doesn't offer up a problem. Like people were walking around with calendars that were too short and everybody complained how they didn't really, no. Now, that's problem solution. Okay, mark your answer knowing that it is not answer choice D. And then let's go on to question 10. Which word from the passage has the Latin root that means to turn? I'm not going to read the answer choices because I'll give it away. You need to define these words. The way that you define them is you can go back into the passage and find them and use your context clues. That's one. That's the long strategy. If you don't know what the word legend means, then you need to go find it. If you don't know what an astronomer is, you need to go find it. Okay? If you don't know what a revolution is or what the word revolution means, you need to find it. Go back to the passage. That's the heavy lifting that you're going to do right now. Once you have defined each of these words, and don't just automatically assume like, oh, revolution, oh, they must have, they must have like had a revolt. Do not assume that's what that means. Go back into the passage and locate it. Then think, which of these words has something to do with turning? All right, and then choose your answer. Move on to question number 12. What will most likely happen when the Gregorian calendar does not match the seasons? What will most likely happen when the Gregorian calendar does not match the seasons? This is going to be you drawing a conclusion. All right, you've read the answer choices. Look at paragraph 9, because that's where it talks about the Gregorian calendar not completely matching. Based on the other changes that they made. to the calendars, which of these is most likely to happen? It's not going to come right out and say it. Like, it's not going to say, you know, the answer in the text directly, but it is going to give you enough idea to make the selection. All right, pause, make your selection, and then let's go on to number 13. This question is a cause and effect question. You're trying to find the cause. The effect is the year of confusion. What caused the year of confusion? You're going to need to go back up. You'll see it right here. It's in the passage. In paragraph 6 is where they use the phrase, the year of confusion. Reread 5 and 6 to determine what caused that to happen. Then move on to question 13. Which sentence best summarizes paragraph 2? Not the entire passage, but paragraph 2. Go back. You're going to reread it. Let's summarize paragraph 2. You can do a what so what for this. Okay, do a what so what. That will get you the topic and what are they basically saying about the topic. After you've done that, now you can look at the answer choices. Does your so what match any of these closely? Mark your answer and go on to 14. All right, question 14. Which feature, like text feature, would most help the reader who wanted to compare all of the calendars discussed in this passage? Would you use a graph that shows the cycles of the moon? Would that compare all the, I think there were 5 calendars talked about? A chart showing the features of each of the 5, let's use that, 5 calendars. C, a timeline explaining when the calendars were first used. A map showing where the calendars originated. So a graph that shows the moon, a chart that shows the features of the calendars, a timeline that shows where when they were used, or a map that shows where they originated. Which is going to compare? So remember, compare like the similarities between the calendars. A graph about the moon, a chart, a timeline, or a map. Mark your answer. I think you know it. All right, number 15. Which sentence from the passage best supports the idea that the Gregorian calendar is the most accurate to date? So the answer, we didn't read these yet, okay? The answer choice that we should be picking needs to do something with the Gregorian calendar being accurate. We're going to look for a detail that supports that, not a summary, a detail that supports that the Gregorian calendar is the most accurate. The Romans called 46 BC the year of confusion. It was used in many places for more than 1,500 years. In 1582, Pope Gregory established the Gregorian calendar to correct the mistakes caused by the Julian calendar. It is just 26.3 seconds longer than the time it takes to circle the sun. Which of these, you have to go back to the text to find them. So this right here, A is in paragraph 6. B, I'm going to just scan through from paragraph 6, is in paragraph 7. C is in paragraph 8. And D is in paragraph 9. Which detail, so you do have to find it in the text to see what the detail is talking about. So which detail is talking about the Gregorian calendar being the most accurate? Mark your answer. How would they organize paragraph 3? Again, let's create our what so what for paragraph 3. Then we're going to determine what keywords are they using. All right, there was just one problem with the system. The 12 moon cycles add up to only 354 days. If that didn't give it away, a calendar based on the moon would work fine for a few years, but eventually it would get out of step with the changing seasons. To correct this problem, ancient kings often randomly inserted a handful of days or even extra month into certain years. As you can imagine, this caused a lot of confusion. This one should be very obvious to you. All right, mark your answer. And you can go on to 17. What fact from the passage shows that an inaccurate calendar was a political issue? All right, mark your answer. Once you've done that, remember to click Save and Close. And then let's go back to our modules. This is how you're going to wrap up today. All right, if we get into the Kahoot, this is your extension today. Remember, your goal was to get a 75% on your benchmark. And if you followed my instructions, you're on your way there. We do have one more day to wrap it up, to finish it up. All right, here you go. It says asynchronous students. Click the link below. You're going to click this. You put your real name in. Put your real name in. You put the wrong name in, I won't be able to give you credit for participating in this. Please use your first and last name because I know I have several students that share names. All right, go ahead and put your first and last name, and then you will just follow the steps and answer the questions. You do not have to do all 45 of them. There are 45. We're going to look at scores up to, I think, 15, okay? So there's way more, but if you happen to be sitting in the Zoom room with nothing to do, go ahead and you can do as many of those questions as you want. All right, folks, I will see you on Monday. Have a great day.